Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here, dropping in on you. For those who aren't aware, we have been going through it down here in Texas. Houston took some major hits. It's not too many people that haven't experienced the inconvenience, cost, damage, and so much more at some level. Some of us have fared better than others, but we're dealing with it. We had some water damage, one burst pipe. We were out of power for several days. We've been back a couple of days. Still reeling, still waiting to see what the insurance company is going to do about the damage to the house and so much more. But I just wanted to take some time to talk about some things that are transpiring within the community that we can lose notice of. I've already told you about House Bill HR 127, which is being authored and sponsored by a representative from the Houston area, Sheila Jackson Lee. I've given my opinion on the bill and the author. I'm not going to spend any time on that right now. We'll probably revisit it. But it's definitely something that will devastate the poor community and the black community alike, as far as our ability to take full advantage of our Second Amendment rights and to simply protect ourselves. This is far more than an attempt to protect the public from those who may cause them harm, which in most cases not affected by the laws. But that's not why I'm here. We have seen a situation in which blacks as usual, got behind the Democratic Party during the election, as they do historically, with 90% of the black vote going to put Joe Biden in office. Now, again, that 90% didn't put Joe Biden in office. We have to be able to do simple mathematics to understand that a people who represent 13% of the population by itself doesn't put anybody anywhere, but it does reflect how we vote with such great intensity along party lines and loyalty along party lines, how easily it becomes to manipulate us. When you have already decided that you're going to vote and all the Democrat has to do is yell the word racist, and you're not even focusing on the issues at hand, you are now emotionally triggered and you vote based off of that emotion without understanding the gravity of what history presents. History presents that for 40 years, Joe Biden did more damage to the black community than Donald Trump could have possibly done if all he wanted to do was screw over black people in 4 years. He couldn't do as much damage as Joe Biden has done in the last 40. But that's not the case. And this is no advocacy for Trump. I'm not an advocate of Republicans or Democrats. The system has never been designed or set up to serve the black community in the way that I believe we need to be served in order for us to truly realize our potential and our citizenry rights as a people of this country, far more as the people on whose back this country's industries and economy was built. So that's that. But again, Biden says before this that he was going to focus on immigrant rights and rights for those who are part of the LGBTQ community, and that's what he has done. He has issued executive orders, one of which stands out to me as a former athlete, one who participated in track and field, specifically where this is going to take on some going to have a major impact, is that he has signed an executive order basically bullying, using the word urging, but basically bullying colleges and high schools to allow biological males to compete against biological females based solely on the idea that they identify with being female, or they identify, quote unquote, with being a girl or a woman. And we have seen some of the devastating effects of that in MMA, where two opponents of a transgender person females have had their skulls fractured. But we're seeing it even at the high school level, where in one state, I believe the state of Connecticut, that 15 of the top high school state track records for girls are held by biological males. Two biological males in particular. We've seen where a biological male competing against other males at his best on the collegiate level was ranked in the high 200s and low 300s. All of a sudden identifies as being female, starts to compete against females and wins the national championship. And we don't see how that's not fair. That and in track and field, it's more of an emotional issue. It's more of a psychological issue as far as the damage that happens when you allow that to happen to biological females having to compete against male and what that means. But in contact sports like wrestling, where this also applies, young girls are going to be at harm. I don't care how many hormones you take, the biophysical, musculoskeletal, the body mechanics and design of the human body for males are different. Where muscle tendons are connected to bone is different, allowing for more leverage. In general, in an athletic makeup, you're talking about quick twitch muscle fibers are going to be more intense, more intensely present genetically. It's so many other things that come along with that. That says that is not alleviated when you are taking hormones, where of course estrogen is going to allow for the development of breasts and some other things that happen with females. But at the end of the day, there's still some other issues at hand that make it not fair. And those who want to be true about this and honest about this know this. Now, my thing is, this isn't my argument, and everybody knows how I feel about all of this stuff, especially when it comes to black males and what I believe the ultimate goal is and why we are specifically targeted more than any other group. But that's not why I'm here. That's not the point I'm trying to make here. What I'm saying is, if people want to identify with that on a personal level, that's your business. Whether I agree with it or not really doesn't matter. But acknowledge the distinction between the biological female and the biological male who identifies with being a female, and acknowledge that there's a distinction that cannot be overcome physically, and allow them to have their own particular group, own particular category or whatever, and then it is what it is. But to sit up and force young girls, whether at the high school or college level, to compete against men who have decided that they are no longer men but women is beyond the conversation of what's fair or not. But this is the president that is pushing this. This is, with everything that's going on right now, these are the things that Joe Biden is championing. We have to become more involved in how we're going to address and deal with the issues we face. We're going to have to realize that as long as this country has been a nation, if that's what you want to call it, we've never been a part of its concern, and we just recently were granted the rights of citizenry, if you want to say that. But we've never been truly represented, and the system isn't designed to do that. What does that mean? That means that we're going to have to take the responsibility of educating our children ourselves, because how we educate our children, and I'm not talking about academia, I'm not simply talking about academic achievement, I'm talking about holistic, full, complete education. Education, as I define it, is the complete preparation and empowerment of a child to become an adult and go out into a world that is inherently hostile towards them, and not only compete but win. That child, first and foremost, has to know who they are. That child cannot be defined by some European or Eurocentric idea of what is, a Eurocentric idea of what's beautiful, a Eurocentric idea of what's classy, a Eurocentric idea of what's professional, how you should wear your hair, how your nose should look, what size you should be, and all of these different things. I said it before. We live in a country now where where people are completely against black boys wearing dreads, but will embrace black boys wearing dresses. And we don't see the detriment of a society that will support the feminization of black males, but not the freedom of expression of black males. Because that very thing, the freedom of expression of black males, actually intimidates the average white person, definitely white men. They don't want unapologetic black men who speak their own minds, speak their own destiny, speak their own expectations and futures, speak the possibilities of what they're capable of doing in this world for their families, for themselves. They don't want that. They want those who will adhere to the idea of what is based off of Eurocentric thought. We can no longer accept that. We're going to have to be strong enough to stand up and call a spade and forget about this political correctness, this idea of being respectful. I am not about respectability politics. I am not about respectability social thought. I am about saying what is best for black people, even when black people don't want to accept it. What we're going to have to do is stand up and realize if we don't prepare this next generation and inoculate them against the Eurocentric idea of what is, we're going to eventually become irrelevant completely. We're already no longer, quote unquote, as they define it, the largest minority in America. That now belongs to Hispanics or Latinos or whatever the word of the day is. So we have to define in ourselves who we are. We have to set the goals, the standards. We have to determine how high we raise the bar and what we demand of ourselves. Nobody's going to set us up and position us to be what we believe we should be. We're going to have to do that ourselves. As I prepare to go off in this gym and do what I need to do to better myself and get myself healthy, I'm challenging you to do what needs to be done in your community. I'm challenging you to rise up and stand up. I'm also asking you to support the programs that we operate. Support our research department. That's so instrumental in me being able to develop and present solutions, as well as present other great minds with what the facts are, what the dynamics are, what we are facing, so that we can put our minds together to come up with solutions. Also, programs like Black Men Lead, programs like Restoring Ghettos Forgotten Daughters, and so much more. We have to overcome the mechanisms and machinations that are in place that ensure that we stay in last place in this country, because everyone knows just by our basic survival what we're capable of if given half an opportunity. We're not going to be given that opportunity. We're going to have to take it. And on that note, look, I'm going to get off of here. There's so much to be done. For everybody that's been checking in on me and the family, it's been a rough week, but we're still standing. We're good. We would love to have your support in the work we're doing, but we're good. We've got some stuff that's going to need to be fixed and all that stuff, but we'll get it done. Again, take care of yourselves, but we've got to put in some work. I'm out of here. You guys have a great day.